Hey, what's going on, guys? How are your meatballs? Hopefully everyone's meatballs are phenomenal. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Outbreak and Zombies Season 2, the brand new update coming to us on February 25th, 2021. Very excited for this update, maybe more excited than I was for FIREBASE, just because this is a brand new mode that's not necessarily going to take the place of regular round base and Easter eggs and kind of those kind of maps like that, FIREBASE and D Machina that would be as of now, but it's more so of kind of like a main mode that's meant for us to play alternatively to the other maps, and I like that. There's a lot of emphasis put on this mode, so again, as such, I'm very excited for it. So let's just jump into it. Here's everything you need to know about Season 2 for Cold War Zombies, including the Outbreak game mode. So you can apply, or you can play with up to 4 people to take on Operation Threshold. That's basically what this brand new Outbreak mode is called. As of now, this is Requiem's Operation Threshold, and it's the single largest outbreak zone to date. In both FIREBASE and D Machina, our goal was just essentially to close off the breaches, right? But now it's going to be a little bit more harder to do because this is such a big outbreak. Now, Operation Threshold, as we all now know, is set in the Ural Mountains in various different locations. So it's not just going to be one massive open world map. It's going to be split up into separate, yes, bigger scale maps, probably bigger than any Zombies map we've ever had, right? But like larger scale maps, but separate levels. Because like, if you think about it, like this is like an entire campaign, if you want to think about it like that. The amount of area we have to play, but it's also split up into separate subsections, if that makes sense. So just think about it. We're playing on about maybe, we don't know how many maps there's going to be, how many different maps, but just imagine you start in FIREBASE, right? Then you complete whatever that outbreak objective is. Then you can either exfil or go through a portal, and that'll bring you to D Machina, and you have objectives to do there, and you can go from there to Horizon Drac. Now that's not how this is going to work, so don't get excited like that. But that's kind of an example of how the areas may change and vary, and how you would jump from area to area, and how they're split up, if that makes sense. Although it's all pretty much one area in the Ural Mountains, that's kind of like the distinguishment in areas. And the goal here is to essentially just help Requiem catch up and complete their objectives, I should say, because they're far behind Omega. And once you actually successfully completed one experiment or one objective, however they decide to do this, you exfil, or like I said before, you can choose to enter a Dark Aether Rift, and which will send you to another location in the Ural Mountains with more objectives to complete for, of course, greater rewards. And on that note, alongside the release of Outbreak comes new Aetherium crystals. You get refined Aetherium crystals and flawless Aetherium crystals on top of the standard raw Aetherium crystals we already have. So you're going to be able to earn 3 different types of Aetherium crystals in Zombies, not only this mode, but also the round base mode, by just playing Zombies. Now in the round base mode, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, apparently, to earn these refined and flawless Aetherium crystals. They'll be dictated by higher rounds, at least they say so far, so we're not exactly sure if there's going to, exactly what round that's going to entail, and really what objectives you have to go for in regular Zombies to get these brand new crystals, or if there's some kind of conversion rate. For example, maybe 3 raw Aetherium crystals equals 1 refined, 3 refined equals 1 flawless. I don't know if there's going to be some kind of conversion rate like that. That stuff is kind of up in the air, but as of now, all we know is that there's going to be 2 brand new types of Aetherium crystals. Once again, those are refined and flawless, and they will also be color coded so that you guys know the difference. I believe flawless is going to be gold, refined is going to be pink, and I believe the raw we have right now is purple. And you'll also be able to, it's important to note that they're in the game because you'll also be able to upgrade everything else in the game to level 5 using these new crystals. And yes, that includes stuff like Juggernog, shotguns, and Ether Shrouds. So your field upgrades, your weapon classes, your perks, all that stuff. Fun fact, they actually had 5 upgrades before the game launched, but before the game launched, they actually cut those different levels of Aetherium crystals, and as such, we only got the 3 levels. We got the introductory kind of part of Cold War Zombies, where we had, you know, the base perk upgrades, but now with these new brand new levels of Aetherium crystals, we're going to be introduced to the next 2 levels. I believe they had stated that refined Aetherium crystals would be used to upgrade everything to tier 4, and then flawless will be used to upgrade everything to tier 5. What exactly each and every single upgrade entails, we don't exactly know, but what I can say is before the launch of the game, I believe it was for Juggernog, it was either the tier 4 or tier 5 upgrade to Juggernog, that actually gave you no splash damage. So just note that, just take that for what it is, take it with a grain of salt, because we don't know if all the upgrades exactly are going to stay, if they're going to stay on the same perks. You get what I'm saying? But just note that there are some very juicy upgrades coming for each and every single thing in the game that's upgradable. Again, field upgrades, perks, weapon classes, whatever it may be, you can upgrade it, but you're going to be able to upgrade it much further, and everything's going to be much more useful. And they even noted that some of this stuff is going to be meta changing, because it quite is. If you think about no splash damage, that automatically, although the ray gun's the go-to in D Machina, that's automatically going to make the high rounds easier, automatically going to make using the ray gun easier, automatically going to make using RPGs easier, whether it's going for Dark Aether or maybe even doing the FIREBASE Easter egg with RPGs. Although it's the best gun, it's now even better for the boss fight because of how because of no splash damage if, again, that ability of one of the tier 4 or 5 perk upgrades remains. Just an example of how that can affect the game, but I'm very excited for these upgrades. There was also a rumor going around that Aether Shroud could potentially be upgraded, and you get like double sprint speed or something like that, 50% sprint speed extra. So there's some, I don't know too much about that one. I can't confirm that one. I just remember the PhD one specifically because I don't believe PhD is coming to the game. I believe it's going to come as an upgrade, and I've been talking about this for a while, but we're going to have to wait and see for sure. Just wanted to give you guys some examples of how some of this stuff could work. But now, back into the gameplay. Now, we already understand the basic goals of Outbreak, but it's also important to note a few other things. You'll spawn into Outbreak just as you would in any regular zombies match. From the helicopter you land on down, you're in. On top of that, Outbreak is very different from regular zombies in that you have no set paths. It's an open world experience, and there are different loot chests, the same ones you get from, for example, the free junk Easter eggs in both the machine and FIREBASE, as well as different trial machines that you can use around the map. Of course, the trial machines are 500 points each, and the crates are usually free, but you can use these to acquire more firepower just like you would in D-Machine and FIREBASE. Sure, in those you have the mystery box, you have wall weapons, you have stuff like that, but now aside from loading in this Outbreak mode with your starting weapon, if you choose to, again, you can activate the trial machine for a chance to get maybe a wonder weapon for all we know, right? Or you can go ahead and try to open up one of the crates if you find one for a chance to get a wonder weapon or another weapon, or maybe a free perk. Now maybe the perk will be random, maybe all the loot will be random, some salvage as well. There's different armor machines, a pack punch machine, all that stuff scattered around the map at certain times, I should note, but you'll be able to get different loot from these two things in specific. And again, that would be the smiley face crate and the trial machines, and I'm sure there's going to probably be some other ground loot or some other, even if there's not ground loot, some other possible way to acquire firepower other than these two methods. Now, the FIREBASE jump pads are in Outbreak, which will allow you to navigate from each area more quickly, just like in FIREBASE. And on a bigger scaled map like this, when you just have lots of area to run through, they're going to be pretty important, especially with some of the objectives we're going to talk about in a second. You're going to probably need to use those jump pads more than you may realize you did need to. I mean, you already needed to use them in FIREBASE if you wanted to get around the map quickly, but this is a whole new beast. So definitely excited about the jump pads being from FIREBASE in Outbreak. But yeah, on that note, once you fail an objective, we just discussed objectives, right? Touched on it. Your mission is over. So we're going to get into the few different objectives right now, your primary different objectives throughout the game. But just note that if at any point you fail a mission or your objective, your mission is over and you're done. You die. It's over. But you do retain all rewards, and I believe I have that noted here some point later. But you do retain all rewards that you've earned thus far. So let's get into it. Maybe you'll understand a little bit more, and we'll go over this again. So one of the first ones is to defend. Your task is to claim a fully intact sample, place it in a device to study, and defend the machine while it uploads data. So think of the mimic step from FIREBASE. This is not what you're doing with an essence trap, but how you have to get that essence trap, a mimic stuck in it, and you place it in the machine and it downloads the data. Kind of similar concept to that, right? Where you find this sample, you have to keep it intact, assuming that means you don't die, and you place it in a certain device around the map, and it'll download this data, and you have to defend the machine while it's downloading the data, and then you'll have completed this task. And it says you may also be forced to get the sample to a designated location in a shorter period of time, so it won't always be as easy as sprinting from the location you pick up said, a head at or a heart, whatever this thing may be, right? It may not be as easy to run from that location to the location you have to bring it to download that data. Again, for example, to use FIREBASE, or to use FIREBASE as an example, from getting from spawn to the data center, imagine that was timed and you would have to get there an alternative way. Instead of there being 3 minutes, there was 30 seconds. You know how the essence trap is timed once you pick up the mimic? It's the same kind of deal. It's a time thing. You have to get to that location before the data kind of corrupts and before you can place that essence trap in the computer. Otherwise, mission failed. So again, on that note, you have vehicles, you have your launch pads, and some even other forms of transportation that may also be used and may be necessary to transport such things from their location to the objective location to download that data and to defend that machine that you're downloading the data on to complete the objective. Next, we have the escort objective. So for this, you're basically just walking with a device on wheels and protecting it from zombies. Once it reaches its final destination, it'll be sucked into a dimensional portal. We don't know how much health this thing has, but I'm assuming it'll have, fair health, and if it gets damaged enough, it'll break, and that's it. You fail that objective. But if you can protect it, it'll reach its endpoint. Sorry, I have my phone on. It'll reach its endpoint, and you'll eventually, it'll pop up into a dimensional portal, poof away, and bang, that objective is complete. Next, we have the retrieve objective. So for this, you'll have to retrieve an Aetherium crystal from a nearby harvesting device, because they note that there's different harvesting device all around the Ural Mountains, automatically picking up crystals and stuff, right? So you're going to retrieve a crystal from this harvesting device and escort it to the safe location before time runs out. Now, we're not exactly sure what a safe location is going to entail, but that's what they say. We have to bring this crystal to a safe location before time runs out. Very similar to the defense step as well, if you want to think about it like that, at the beginning, where you have to take something and bring it to another spot in a shorter period of time. They say you will not be able to use any of your weapons though, and you will also run slower. However, you'll be provided with a temporary stronger field upgrade that acts kind of as a shockwave to knock down all nearby zombies. So the person carrying this thing is going to run a lot slower. They're not going to be able to use their guns. They have to take this thing that they have in their hand from one location, I should say the crystal, from one location to another, and then if they really get stuck and they need to, they can activate their really powerful field upgrade, it seems, once. And it's not the field upgrade they have, it's given to them by the game, and it's a kind of like shockwave field upgrade, and this will knock the zombies on their backs, and you'll be able to go off and do what you have to do and hopefully not get stuck again. Otherwise, I'm assuming if you die, you fail. Next, we have eliminate. Use a tracker to find elite enemies. Once they've been spotted, they will fade from out of existence into plain sight for you to kill. You could kill this enemy, or if you don't want to, you can try to kill all the zombies as they come in hordes while avoiding the fading big enemy. So he's going to pop in and out of existence. We don't know exactly what enemies these are going to be. It could be a Megaton, right? He'll just fade in and out of existence. So you're going to have to keep using that tracker to spot him, and once he's spotted on that tracker, then he'll fade, then he'll pop back into existence. And it's also important to note that there's going to be a bunch of different bosses in this. So there's mimics, there's the manglers, there's I don't know if we saw Megatons, but I'm assuming the Megatons will be in here as well. Sorry. We also saw 2 different variants of the Panzer Soldat. Not exactly sure if it's going to be the exact model that we know from the past, or if one of them is going to be the Origins one, and one of them is going to be the Dreisendrach one, for example. But we saw 2 different and even 2 different colored models of the Panzer Soldat existing in this mode. We saw dragons from Gorod Krovi / Dreisendrach. It seems to be the DE dragon that pops out of a device. Maybe that'll be used for something as well. But just noting all the different kind of enemy types we've seen, or seeming enemy types that we've seen, and yeah, pretty dang cool. But anyways, back into it. The final objective that they talk about today, at least, is holdout. Your objective in this is to kill off zombies until a massive dark ether crystal explodes. So there's going to be this massive dark ether crystal, and as you kind of like shoot it or try to take it down or whatever exactly happens at the beginning, it's going to send you into the dark ether, and you're going to remain in that dark ether. You're going to have loads of zombies coming at you, and eventually, once you like fend off enough zombies for long enough, that will allow the dark ether crystal to explode, and bang, you have finished the holdout objective. Now, after successfully completing an experiment, all agents must move to a mysterious beacon marked somewhere within the region. Just like getting to the objective itself, there's no linear path to getting to this beacon, but the roaming hordes may make some routes more viable than others. So what this means is that once you complete one specific objective, you'll have to get to a certain point on the open world map, and you can get there in any way you want, but because of the way the zombies run and the way their routes are, some routes may be easier than others. And the reason why this one's worded differently, this whole section is worded differently, I actually copied and pasted this one from the blog post. But anyways, they go on to say, once the beacon is activated, so once you find this beacon for your character and activate it, several useful machines will appear around this specific mini area, and these include a crafting table for creating equipment and support items, like for example a chopper gunner, an arsenal for armor and upgrading weapons, as well as a Der Wonder Fizz, which expenses a variety of perks, and of course, finally you'll have a pack lunch machine. At this point, you could exfil or take a dark ether portal to face some new challenges. You're rewarded for every finished objective though, regardless of the point in which you fail. So again, as I said earlier, if you finish your objective and you're able to exfil, you can go ahead and exfil and exit out of the game and get those rewards if you wish, or you can now move forward with the brand new pack lunch weapons that you have, with the new armor you have, with all that stuff, into the next kind of ether portal in another location in the Ural Mountains, and take on a new set of objectives, presumably the same like 4 or 5 I just read through with you. But you'll be able to do one or a few of those in that location, and once that's complete, you'll be able to exfil again by finding your beacon. You'll be able to pack lunch again, armor, all that stuff. And then if you want to exfil, you can. If you don't, then you can go to the next portal. We're not sure how long this loop will continue on for, if it's not infinite, because it definitely could be. But yeah, very, very interesting. Very, very excited for this as well. Again, the further you go, the more rewards you get, and it's important good to know that if you go into, for example, the Dark Ether portal to another location in the Ural Mountains and you fail something at that location, you don't lose all rewards for the game. You will keep your previous rewards. So say you're on section 3 and you fail, you'll keep your previous rewards for section 1 and 2. So say you earned 5 Aetherium crystals from sections 1 and 2. This is just an example. You'll keep those even if you fail in section 3. Hopefully that's clear enough. We still probably have a lot more to learn once we jump in game and do a lot of different things. And they're going to probably tell us even more as time cuts closer and closer and closer to the launch of Outbreak. But that is it, my friends. That's pretty much everything we're getting in season 2 for Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Again, the brand new Outbreak mode, which was the main point of this video, as well as some brand new upgrades that I touched on a little bit in a few other videos, as well as in this one. But that's going to be it, my friends. If you did enjoy it, drop a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed, and I'll see you later. Take care, your meatball.
I've been